For over 20 years, gamers have been dreaming of what it would be like to live in the world of Pokémon, and at first glance, it seems awesome. You get to have a Bulbasaur as your best friend, and if you need a little spare cash, you can always just wander around outside until some bright-eyed youngster walks by, thinking that his Rattata can actually win a fight. If you really think about it though, life in this strange place would actually be pretty terrible. Here are just a few of the many reasons it would really suck to live in the Pokémon world. It's alive. The Pokémon world is stocked up with over 800 different kinds of pocket monsters, and while some of them were inspired by easy-to-spot animals like dogs and cats, there are plenty of others that are just plain weird. The end result is that everything you see in the Pokémon world might be alive. Everything. Just look at food, for example. It's a lot harder to turn an animal into a hamburger when it's capable of speech and the concept of friendship, but that hasn't stopped the people who live there. Farfetch'd has canonically been hunted to near extinction because it tastes so good. It might seem easy to get around that by just going vegan, but vegetables and mushrooms like Oddish and Foongist show that even plants can have smiling, friendly faces. You can't even enjoy dessert without wondering if you're accidentally eating a Vanillite. It doesn't stop there, either. Say you go out on a date to a candlelit dinner at a table decorated with flowers. It turns out, though, that the candles are actually Litwick, and the flowers are a bunch of sunflora, and their cheerful faces make it a little hard to concentrate on romance. You wind up getting so nervous you spill your drink and excuse yourself to throw your shirt in the washing machine, which is actually a rotom. So are your microwave and refrigerator at home.
Now it's a refrigerator?
Maybe you can take your mind off of Pokémon by heading down to the beach to build a sandcastle. Nope, that's Palisand. Or getting a nice balloon. Nope, that's Drifloon. Pokémon are literally everywhere, and while that might sound great, being starved to death and watched by a million eyes the entire time isn't anyone's idea of a fun time. Fight forever. Obviously, if you're going to live in the Pokémon world, you're going to want to be a Pokémon trainer, possibly even the best like no one ever was. If you've ever played the games though, you know that life would be exhausting. One of the first things you learn in every game is that if you so much as look at another trainer, you absolutely have to drop everything and send your pet out there for a fistfight. And if you lose, get out your wallet, pal, because it's time to pay up. You could probably break even over enough time, but every now and then some plucky youngster who's been grinding for hours in the tall grass is going to show up with some mythical godlike dragon monster at their command and lay waste to your entire life. And all you wanted to do was ride the subway home from work. Planes, trains, and Azumarill. One of the nicer things about the world of Pokémon games is that everything's very walkable. Even if the roads are lined with trainers itching for battle, it doesn't take long to head from the peace of a quiet village to the excitement of a bustling big city. If you get tired of walking though, getting around becomes a major hassle. Cars are pretty rare in the Pokémon world, and while public transit does exist, it's really only useful for advancing the plot. The most common method of transportation is a bicycle, but good luck getting one. The Miracle Cycle Shop in Kanto sells them for a staggering 1 million Poké-Dollars, which is actually more than it's even possible to acquire in the game. Now you know why Misty was so mad when Ash blew hers up. Of course, it's a whole lot easier to get around with Pokémon that know moves like Fly or Surf, but even if you have the required badges, you probably have to hang on to a tiny little Pidgey while it flies you across a continent with all your luggage. That actually might be worse than flying basic economy in the real world. Crime and punishment. One of the Pokémon world's defining characteristics is that it's absolutely packed with criminal organizations, and that's worrying for a whole lot of reasons. Sure, we have plenty of crime in the real world, but imagine living in a place where everyone around you is walking around with up to 6 living flamethrowers in their pocket, and then make a good percentage of them career criminals who want to kidnap your pets. And that's the best case scenario. While Team Rocket has always been content to devote their energy to stealing Pikachu, Team Aqua wants to destroy a volcano with a meteorite and sink the entire region under the waves of a rising sea. Team Plasma is bent on good old-fashioned world domination, and Team Galactic wants to literally destroy the universe and remake it in their own image. That's next-level supervillain stuff, and it's happening all the time. But hey, on the bright side, it seems like they're always hiring. War is hell. One of the most enduring fan theories about the Pokémon world is that the games take place not long after a massive war, and there's actually a lot of canonical support for it. When you encounter Lieutenant Surge, the gym leader in Vermilion City, he makes multiple references to the war and how his electric-type Pokémon saved his life in battle. The implications of this are truly horrifying. War is bad enough here in the real world, but Surge's references to battle indicate that his world takes all that horror and throws in cute animals who can slice people up with razor-sharp leaves. The thought of a battlefield where humans and Pokémon alike are subject to everything from gunfire to the kind of world-shattering attacks that we see from high-level Pokémon is harrowing. And that it's an actual fact of history in the Pokémon world means that it's the kind of thing you can't really avoid thinking about. And now you know why they still call them monsters. Who you gonna call? Here's the thing about ghost Pokémon. They're actual ghosts, like dead souls brought back to haunt the world of the living, with supernatural powers that are responsible for some of the Pokédex's most horrifying entries. Litwick and Lampent are described as hanging around hospitals waiting for people to pass on so they can consume their souls in flames. Drifloon abducts children. Palisand devours your body and buries your bones within itself to grow more powerful. Shedinja has a portal that leads straight to hell in its back, which, if you use it in battle, is always facing you. Now, depending on your personal opinion of the supernatural and your willingness to risk having your soul devoured in order to encounter a ghost, this might not be a bad thing. But then you get to Yamask. See, according to the Dex, Yamask is not only a ghost, it's the ghost of a human doomed forever to stare at a mask depicting their human face, sobbing endlessly about what they've become.
And now, I shall punish you!
That's bad, but what's even worse is that since they're Pokémon, Yamask are often caught by trainers. So enjoy living out the rest of eternity as a misshapen spirit, staring at your own face, left forgotten in a tiny ball owned by some teen. Gods and Pocket Monsters. The plots of the game tend to revolve around unique, super powerful legendary Pokémon, but even among them, Arceus stands out. According to its in-game description, it used its 1,000 arms to create the world and everything in it. In other words, it's the closest thing the Pokémon world has to God, a creator deity of unfathomable power. Also, you can get one and use it to beat up Team Rocket if you want. Admittedly, it's not easy. Unlike lesser gods like Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, who control time, space, and antimatter respectively, Arceus wasn't actually available to catch in the games. Instead, players could only acquire one of their own through a special event, but honestly, getting the power of the creator of all things as a giveaway from Nintendo is a pretty good reward for waiting around a while. If, however, you were living in the Pokémon world, then you'd know that the only people who would be granted the kind of limitless power that comes with the mastery over Arceus and other legendaries would be the children who were journeying to become Pokémon masters. And if that doesn't horrify you, give literally anything valuable you own to a 10-year-old and see how long it takes them to destroy it. Beedrill. If nothing else has convinced you that life in the Pokémon world would suck, then consider this. Beedrill is a bee with power drills for hands. It is 3 feet, 3 inches tall and not at all uncommon. Sorry, Pikachu. We love you, but you're just not worth that.